Okay, here we have question number 33 on the January 2017 Common Core Algebra 1 Regents. And this is a graphing question. So we have graph f of x is equal to the absolute value of x, and g of x is equal to negative x squared plus 6 on the grid below. So let's first create our axis. And the test, you'll probably want to do that with a pen if possible, or at least a very dark pencil line. So let's do f of x first. Now, you may know what this looks like, but if you don't, we can create a table of values here. Remember, the f of x represents the y on the graph. So if we do -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3, we could just put this in here and do the absolute value of -3 is 3. The absolute value of -2 is 2. The absolute value of -1 is 1. Absolute value of 0 is 0. And then the absolute value of 1 is 1, 2 is 2, and 3 is 3. So we could plot those points. -3, 3. -2, 2. -1, 1. 0, 0. 1, 1. 2, 2. 3, 3. What we get is basically kind of two pieces of a linear equation that look like that. That's our f of x. Now let's do the same thing for g of x, which is a little bit more thorny. And it's important to note that this is not negative x all squared. We would square the x first and then negate it. And I'll do the same 7x values here. So -3 squared, I'm replacing the x with -3, plus 6, and then that's negated at the front. So we have 9, -9 plus 6 is -3. -2 squared plus 6 would be negative, and again, this would be +4, but there's still the negative from the front. What we get is +2. -1 squared plus 6 is going to be, that's 1. So this is -1 plus 6, which is 5. And we have a 0, and that's just going to be 6, because 0 squared is 6, 0 squared is 0, -0 is still, well, 0. So we get 6. And negative, we get 1 squared plus 6. This is still 1. And that still carries that negative. And that's going to be 5. And then we do 2. So this is -4 plus 6, still 2. And then 3 squared there plus 6, and that's still negated. So this is going to be -9 plus 6, and that's going to be -3. So we've got our points. -3, -3. -2, 2. -1, 5. 0, 6. 1, 5. 2, 2. 3, -3. I'll connect this, and this would be a nice little parabola shape here. And the next question is, does the f of -2 equal the g of -2? And we could certainly just substitute the values in, and actually we did already. So the f of -2 is 2, and the g of -2 is also 2. And we can see that they intersect at that point. So yes, they do equal, because the graphs, the lines representing the functions intersect at that point. Both functions have a value of 2 by virtue of substituting in the x value. So there's that. You can also get these tables by just graphing these using your calculator. and hitting the table mode of the calculator, and that will work just fine as well. But I think this one is easy enough, and I think there's some value in actually showing these. Remember, you do get some partial credit on the Regents as well, so sometimes it's worth it to show the work, even if it's not totally necessary to get your solution, specifically on the part 2, 3, and 4, the free response questions.